Hey guys, so I'm Elena. You might know me as Investing Bae. All right, so I'm gonna give you guys like the short and sweet version of like how we got here. So this is like my origin story. So basically, after college, I got a bachelor's in counseling and human services. And so from there, I moved to Georgia to live with my sorority sister. Shout out to you, Carrie. I love you. Um, and actually, my line name is Pearlescent Fiduciary, which is so ironic at this point in my life. But anyway, so let me back up. Shout out to the sorors, ski wee sorors. I'm so off track right now, but anyway, just stay with me. All right, so basically, I moved to Atlanta to live with my sorority sister. I got with one of our mutual friends, and he brought me on his team to like co-found a mobile app. So the app was called Tidy. Shout out to the guys, Herman, Jeremy. Shout out to you guys. Got to Atlanta, started working on this mobile app with these guys. I was the only girl on the team, actually. Anyway, so yeah, I started working on this app and they brought me on for marketing. So I had no background in marketing at that point. You know what I mean? Like, but my friend Josh, he basically put me through like YouTube University and he taught me like he sent me like all these videos and all these books and articles and basically taught me marketing, taught me how to market. And so we used to go pitch, like we would pitch our app to investors, do pitch competitions, stuff like that. And so I really kind of fell in love with marketing from that point. So my grandmother got sick actually. So I ended up moving from Georgia back to Tennessee. That's where I'm from. I ended up going to grad school, right? I ended up going to grad school with, again, no background in marketing other than what we've just done in Georgia, right? So luckily, some of the guys, they wrote letters of recommendation for me to get in grad school. I did take my GMAT. My score was not high enough to qualify, but that's fine. I think my letters of recommendation they carried a little bit of weight because these guys were really, really high up in their industries. And so I started learning about digital marketing. I wanted to write textbooks. That was like my ultimate goal. I was like, I'm going to write a textbook. And so while I was in grad school, I met a guy, right? I met this guy, um, and he was like, "Hey, I will take care of everything financially. You just focus on school, right?" And then shortly after I quit my job and stuff that I had back here, it got abusive. It got abusive. It got physical. So that was just like probably one of the darkest periods of my life, to be quite honest. But one thing I will say is from that experience, I am extremely passionate about women having their finances in order. You know what I mean? Like, not knocking men at all, but just to say, like, I know firsthand how important it is to have your own money. And I don't want to be in that position ever again. And I don't want to see anybody in that position ever again because it's very scary. So when we finally parted ways, I was essentially homeless. Like, I was living somewhere, but I didn't have like running water. My car got repoed. It was gritty, you know what I mean? Like it got really gritty. I call it character building, but it was just a dark time, And so I just remember, my depression was on 1,000 back then. It really was. Like, it was a hard, really dark period of my life. So I feel like I had to rediscover my identity a little bit. So basically, the first job I got out of that situation was cleaning hotel rooms. And so I used to clean hotels, which was amazing because I got free breakfast. I got to do my laundry. I got to shower and stuff. I got to watch a little TV, whatever. But I also got tips, and so that was like my first, the first money that I made again really came from those tips. So anytime I travel and I stay in hotels or Airbnbs, I always tip crazy because that is a thankless job and it's disgusting. So I'm always showing love to my hotel housekeepers and things like that. My housekeepers, shout out to you guys for holding us all down and we don't even realize it. From there, I got a job working at a storage facility. So I was actually working two jobs at that point. At the storage place, it was cool. Like, I was just doing sales, renting out storage units. We did auctions, things like that. So it was pretty cool, like Pawn Star vibes. The pandemic happens, right? So the pandemic happens. I get promoted to like the collections manager, and it's like my job to auction people's stuff off. And so I'm an empath, I'm already like emotionally, you know, I'm emotionally just going through it with my own personal life. And so to see people losing their stuff, it hit different. You know what I mean? And so I used to go out of my way to try to help people and help people recover their items, things like that. But that was kind of my first real glimpse of how people manage money too, which at the time I didn't really realize what I was learning, but it was very valuable experience in learning how people handle their money, how people let things go until things are horrible and then they need to take action immediately. And one thing I would say I learned from that is like, you got to fix, you got to fix the leaks while they're small, right? You can't wait until there's a monsoon before you take action. And I think the same applies to your money. You don't want to wait until you're all out of everything to start taking your finances seriously. And I tend to see that a lot. So that was a huge lesson for me from there. We got a stimulus check, right? So we got a stimulus check and I started to trade options, right? I didn't start off with investing, which hindsight is 2020. I wish I would have started off with investing in stocks, but I started off with options. And so I very quickly saw the power of leverage and I fell in love with it. I was like, I need to know everything there is to know about this. And so March 2020, started trading. August 2020, I quit my job. And so it was kind of a double-edged sword, being that I was making decent money. It wasn't like amazing, but I was getting by. Something's better than nothing. But just the mental toll, and I'm still trying to heal from my situation. And I saw a way out. You know what I mean? I figured if I could learn trading, like really learn it, I could take back control of my life. And that felt amazing. You know what I mean? Like it was just like a complete light bulb moment for me. And so quit my job in August after Zoom. Zoom had a crazy earnings call. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I didn't even go into work that day. I was like, yeah, I'm not coming back. And so after August, September came and I blew up my account, right? So there was some learning, and like there's a learning curve here, you guys. Stay with me. There's a learning curve. So yeah, September blew my account and I'm like, I don't have a job. Like that was my money. That was my safety net. So from there, that's really when I'm like, okay, I can figure this out. Like if I just put everything I have into learning this, I can figure this out. So pretty much for the past, almost 6 years, I've been learning and teaching and sharing everything that I've learned along the way. I will say this, you can become profitable. You know what I mean? It takes work, it takes focus, it takes time, but if you're serious about it, it can be done. And I'm sitting here as someone who did it. You know what I mean? I do have a mentor, shout out to him. But it can be done. It's just you have to take trading seriously. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't. And it's not necessarily because they don't want to. It's just how we're wired, right? Once you get addicted to dopamine, it's very hard to come off of it. It can be done, but that's where Investing Bae comes in. I did write a book called Trade Brain. It just breaks down a lot of the things that happen in our brains when we're trading, how the market's overstimulating. One of my favorite parts of the book, and this is something that I think every trader should know, but the market doesn't have to beat your strategy, right? It doesn't have to beat your strategy. It just has to overstimulate you enough to abandon it. And that's words to live by. So yeah, I'm sure I'll have stories to tell as we go, but I just wanted to kind of introduce myself because I know I just kind of started posting on here and not, there's no context. So yeah, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you were, vibing with me, and I'll see you guys in the next video.